Hey guys, welcome back everyone to the Players Only YouTube channel. It's become another weekly thing. We've come to that point of the week. It's the match day 3 preview for the Premier League. Match day 1 and 2 have come and gone. It seems to come so fast, but we're well and truly right into the Premier League season now. It's a really exciting time. A few exciting results which we covered in the Away Days show a few days ago from last week. So as such, my results on the predictions weren't going as well. As we all know, hopefully by now, there's 3 points for the exact correct result. And obviously, if you predict a win, loss or draw, it's only 1 point. So first week I ended up with 8 points, and I didn't improve much in the second week, only getting the 5 right with the 5 correct results in there, unfortunately. That brings our total to 13 points for the 2 weeks. So if you guys are playing along at home, let me know in the comments where you're currently at. And if you're liking this content, guys, please make sure to like, subscribe, and share the channel with friends and other people who love this sort of content. And let's get straight into it. So the first fixture for match week 3 is Chelsea and Luton there on Friday night. I'm liking these Friday night fixtures, really nice and spaced out the weekend, easy for me to watch more games. So very convenient for that. So thank you to Premier League for that. But this game, we can only see it going one way, can't we? Obviously Chelsea, they play some really, really high quality football. We expect that under Pochettino, a bit more progressive. The 5-back has stayed surprisingly, but they've had fullbacks like Chilwell when Reece James is playing, Gusto to a lesser extent, just bombing on, getting on the outside of those wingers there. Really impressed with the work of Sterling against West Ham, probably the best player on the pitch for Chelsea outside the goal scorer Chukwuemeka, but Sterling looked back to his Liverpool best and Man City best. Like I said on the Away Days show, our podcast there, he was driving at defenders, putting his head down and just trying to go past as many as possible. And it seems like Pochettino's basically gone up to him and said, mate, be that guy for us. He's seen him play at the Liverpool, the Man City level, where he was just running at defenders and terrorising right wingers and right backs trying to defend all together. You try to double him up, West Ham tried to double him up, he just kept going past players, and he had a superb game. And despite that all being said though, Chelsea really struggled in front of goal. The substitutes of Caicedo and Mudryk coming on basically killed the game off for West Ham. Those two really, really struggled. Obviously I expect Caicedo to be much better. He hasn't had many Ks under his legs, hasn't played a game in over 2 months, so that's there to be seen. But once again, Makala and Mudryk underperforming. If you get the chance to come on or even start this game as Luton, surely you expect a goal then for him. And talking about being due a goal, Nicholas Jackson is surely due a goal. I was big on him coming into the pre-season, looked very good in the pre-season there. Had a few chances against Liverpool that Alisson smartly saved or tipped away, and got into great positions against West Ham as well. We just couldn't get in the score sheet. But someone who did was Kennedy Chukwuemeka, another player I was really big on in the pre-season, a super bright talent coming from Aston Villa and out of Chelsea. He scored an awesome goal in that game when the ball landed back at his feet and just curled it in there with that right foot. But unfortunately, he left the game with injury again last week. A tale of a lot of Premier League teams at the moment, a lot of injuries being had. So Chelsea looked the goods. There's some good quality signs there going forward. I think Jackson will look good in this game against Luton. They're obviously going to be sitting in deep Luton, so can Chelsea with the likes of Sterling and Jackson and that midfield with Enzo Fernandez pick passes or dribble past this really low block team? We saw against Brighton, it took about half an hour, but once they broke through, the floodgates were well and truly open. And as far as Luton, obviously the works in Kenilworth Road are continuing, so they got the week off last week. Their game against Burnley has been postponed, so I don't think it's for the betterment of them. I think they need more games under their legs. They need more of that Premier League standard under their legs. You come against Chelsea in your second game, and it's a very, very tough place to go. Probably not one of the toughest out of the top 6, but obviously going away anywhere is going to be a tough work for Luton this season. They're going to have to rely on their home form, but the likes of getting away points are not going to happen at places like Chelsea. It's going to be a very tough day at the office, obviously sitting in very, very deep, but the likes of Adebayo and Kabore are going to be really, really big on them on the counter-attack. They were both impressive without much end product against Brighton, but they're going to really, really work their socks off to get past a defence line of the likes of Levi Colwill, Thiago Silva, the ultra-experienced veteran in the back line there, even like the Chilwell at fullback with Gusto at fullback as well. And it's going to be a tough day for Luton, I think. I can't really see them getting a goal. I can see Chelsea piling on the pressure, living in the Luton half of the ground, and as such, I'm predicting a 4-0 win for Chelsea. Coming out to the early kickoff on Saturday, we've got the high-flying Tottenham away at Bournemouth. An interesting sort of battle. Two teams who in an evolution arc, we can say, under Tottenham. The Ange ball system looks like it's going very well, but also Iriola in charge of Bournemouth. I've been happily surprised with them. Similar to Chelsea, haven't really gotten the points or results they probably deserve for some of the football they've played. That Liverpool game, they were very good for the first 10-15 minutes there. Obviously, Semenyo scoring the goal. Anthony's been good all year for them, sort of carrying on from what he was at last year. But they're going to become like an uphill battle against the likes of Tottenham with Basuma, Pape Sarr, James Maddison, who looks like to be injured, could be a chance then for Bournemouth to try and escape without playing against arguably the most informed player in the Premier League at the moment in James Maddison there. But Tottenham just create so many chances when they play football. We saw against Manchester United, the chances were in the high teens to the 20s mark, but also Man United had that many chances and shots at goal as well. So I clicked a very open encounter. Bournemouth aren't the traditional Bournemouth under the Scott Parkers of the world, where they used to sit in deep with 2 blocks of 4. They're a bit more progressive. They try and play a bit more in possession, sort of building off what Gary O'Neill developed there last season. And Iriola's trying that style of game, and you saw that when they were to press and pounce on Trent Alexander-Arnold's mistake, they were able to score that goal with Semenyo, and they created a chance of Alisson's misplaced passes. So they're pressing from the front, which is a different sort of sign we're seeing, which is very good to see for Bournemouth. I think a lot of adjusting time going on there. I like the signing of Aarons at fullback. He looked quite handy against Liverpool, despite being under constant pressure from the likes of Diaz, Jota and Mo Salah. The backline held up all right at times. Obviously, you can't really stop that front three, and when Dominic Szoboszlai was playing the way he was playing in that game, it's an uphill battle for any team to play. So Bournemouth probably struggled in that department last week after a strong opening 10 to 15 minutes. But as far as Tottenham's concerned, they absolutely excelled. Probably the biggest winners of last week. The Ange ball system is truly alive, and the culture is taking over Spurs at the moment. I love to see the way they played. It was so progressive, but despite that, they defended quite solidly. I think Man United probably didn't make the most of their a bit leakiest defence at times. Vicario looked very good with the ball at his feet. He seems like he's improved a lot since he came here to Perth in pre-season and was in that pre-season game. As I said, Pape Sarr coming with a goal, getting all the way into the 6-yard box. Maddison was remarkable. He'll be a big loss this weekend, but I expect Heung-min-Son, the captain of the football club, to step up this weekend. Had a few quiet games, looked out of sorts. We say a lot on the Way Day show. He's been pushed out wide to that left flank, really, really wide, high and wide is what Ange likes to have his wingers as. So he can't really drift inside as much anymore. But I feel like he's adjusting that system slowly, and I feel like he'll have a big game this weekend. Had a few chances against Man United, much more than he had the week before. But I think this week's the week he breaks the shackles and scores maybe a few goals. And as such, I've got Bournemouth losing this game 3-1. I think Tottenham will score 3. Hopefully Richarlison can get more involved. I think Son will get involved. I think Son scores a double, and I've also got Basuma scoring a single one in this game, because that midfield for Tottenham right now is looking one of the best in the Premier League. Right, now we come to the midday fixtures on Saturday there. Another London battle going on. It's Brentford and Crystal Palace. Brentford at home, the absolute fortress it has become now. 2 London sides that are performing all right, but I don't think have hit the heights they can probably hit as of yet. Brentford obviously a great 2-2 draw against Tottenham, an exciting 2-2 draw in the first game week, and absolutely bossed Fulham around, but I think Fulham are way off what we thought they'd be. Brentford look on it, but I think can still improve in possession. I think they can be even better than they have been so far this season. I think back to the highs of the midway point of last season when they looked very, very solid on the ball. They were playing in triangles and passing around teams. Haven't quite got up to that level yet. But that will develop over time. Like Norgard and Hickey are 2 players so far that stood out for me. Hickey, obviously the fullback that probably goes under the radar with Rico Henry bombing on and looking so talented down that left flank that we forget about Hickey on the right flank. He's been very solid defensively, but not only defensively. Some good play linking up on the ball going forward, which I've been very happy with. Norgard in that midfield tends to be dictating the play. Him alongside Janelt in there as well. Super talented midfielders that, again, slide under the radar. Just a Brentford style of football. It feels like all their players are underrated. They all do a perfect job. And Thomas Frank at home gets his team playing such great football. On the flip side, you've obviously got Crystal Palace, who got the 1-0 result at Sheffield United. A big win there without playing great football. Then played some really, really solid football against Arsenal there. Still looking to be on the front foot. Still creating chances, obviously. They got the red card, Arsenal, so a few more chances at the end of the game there for Crystal Palace. Unfortunate, really, not to get a penalty. Eze was taken down the box there. And another mistake from the referees last week in the Premier League. So they can feel that they're being harshly done last week. They played some very good football against arguably the best or second best team in the Premier League in Arsenal. So they still look like a very strong team. Obviously, all around the likes of Elise, Eze setting up the likes of Ayu, but also at the back looking very, very solid. Mark Gahey looks like he just keeps progressing. Anderson, for me, is one of the most solid centre-backs, consistent centre-backs. And then the whole game plan that Roy Hodgson's implemented just seems to be a bit more freedom at Palace. They're not so restricted and not so defence-focused. They're allowed to express themselves, and that's what the team's based around. A lot of expressive players, Elise, Eze. I think the signing also of Jefferson Lerma from Bournemouth to shore up that midfield has looked very, very good, because both these teams are being very, very defensively solid this year, despite playing some really awesome front-footed football. Obviously, Mbema and Viss have been absolutely incredible so far without Tony there for Brentford. On the same hand, Eze and Elise and Ayu have been very, very good for Palace, but the likes of Gahey, Anderson, Collins, and Rico Henry and the Hickeys of the world, the defenders of both these teams have been in great form also. So both teams in really, really good form. Both, I think, foundationally very strong at the back, and forward thinking when they get chance in the ball. I think it'll be a very interesting game, an exciting watch. Goals, I don't think there'll be many goals in it just because of how solid both defences have been so far this season. So I've got Brentford at home winning, but only by the 1 goal to nil in this game. But don't get me wrong, it's going to be one of the most interesting watches for the weekend. Another London derby also on, Arsenal and Fulham at the Emirates. Obviously, Arsenal, 2 decent results, again, without playing some great football so far. So the 6 points, but haven't really hit the heights we expected of them. Lucky to probably grind out a result against Crystal Palace. The red card was obviously very, very unlucky. That Tomiyasu double yellow for a red, I think, was stupid and just awful refereeing. One of many from the weekend, but they got away with that. They got that 1-0 result. Ødegaard penalty, coolly taken, and so they knock on, they move on to the next game, and they come against a Fulham side who, for me, have probably been, alongside with Everton and Wolves, the biggest underperformers this year. They look like they lack any sort of confidence right now in midfield. They're not winning any midfield battles. The defence under a lot of pressure, and it doesn't look quite up to it yet. They look a shadow of themselves last season, and everyone talking about Mitrovic and the like, but I think it's away from the forwards. It's more than the midfield and defence for me so far that have really underperformed. If it wasn't for Leno in that first game, they probably wouldn't have gotten a result there either. And without João Palhinha in that midfield, we don't know what's going to happen with him. Hopefully he can start in this game, and hope Fulham just control the game a bit more. They just don't look quite up to it. A midfield of like the likes of Pereira in there to run it around with Reed and stuff like that just doesn't quite work for me. Lukic in there as well. He started the last game. That's not quite a Premier League quality midfield for me. João Palhinha, tied that midfield up. Made them a solid unit last season, and without him, they look very, very hollow and very, very empty out there, and exposing the likes of Tim Ream at the back and their lack of probably high quality. Obviously, in the top end of the pitch, it is going to be a problem this year. Goals, Mitrovic, you lose about 15 odd goals there. Raul Jimenez has not hit the heights he has at Wolves since probably that head injury, unfortunately. Just doesn't quite look like the exact same player we used to know of him. So they're sort of lacking in multiple areas of the field right now, and a lot for Marco Silva to work out. And as far as the Arsenal side of things, I think it will come over time. Tomiyasu's red card will be a big loss after losing Timber to the ACL, so it looks like Zinchenko will slide in there. Be interesting to see if they continue with Thomas Partey as this sort of false deep line midfielder / centre back, because Gabriel has been left on the outer so far. I expect he probably will stay on the bench again, whether against another sort of mid to lower table side. They get Havertz in there, they get a more aggressive midfield with the likes of Ødegaard, Rice holding, and then Havertz can go on with it. It looks like he's playing some very, very good football so far, Kai Havertz, without any real statistical comeback or outcome. But obviously the likes of Saka, Martinelli and Ketia look really, really good against the game against Crystal Palace. He looks like he's becoming the finished product, a great option for Arsenal right now as Gabriel Jesus is out. But I think we'll see a lot of goals in this game. I think Arsenal will start to flex their muscles, get a chance to beat up on a smaller club at the moment who are sort of off the pace a bit, and as such, I've got Arsenal winning this game 3-0. One of those midday fixtures is Manchester United hosting Nottingham Forest, and we speak about teams underperforming. Manchester United right now, it is a crisis there at the moment. They cannot get things right, it seems. A lot of players out of confidence, a lot of, frustration from fans. A lot of people questioning the captaining of Bruno Fernandes, the quality of Casemiro. It's all going off at Manchester United right now, and they could do with a result. Performance-wise, it's been well off it. They've got the 3 points against Wolves with a lucky result there, sort of a big escape in some ways as Wolves dominated them. And then the first half against Tottenham was a solid performance for Manchester United, but after that they all sort of fell away. The second half, Tottenham bullied Manchester United. They got in the front foot and yeah, just shocked to think the team come out the second half. As far as players want to perform, we look at like Luke Shaw looks unfit, Martinez looks unfit, Casemiro also looks unfit, and maybe they're suffering from a lack of pre-season. We documented a fair bit on it. It's been documented a fair bit in the media as well. The lack of pre-season focus Manchester United, has that left them on the back foot? Obviously, slow start to the year last season. Looks like it's correlating again over this season as well. And this game could be make or break for Manchester United's season. It sounds weird saying that in week 3, but if they want to be up there with the top 3, 4, these teams this year, Newcastle, City, Arsenal, Aston Villa look very good as well. Brighton look amazing. You're going to have to keep getting the points, and you can't be taking time to get up to pace. They're going to need a big win here against Forest, who another team sort of slowly building into their football. Probably didn't play the greatest game against Sheffield United. I thought they'd boss them around a fair bit last week. They came up with a great escape there. The 90th minute winner there from Chris Wood, the cross from Orieff and right back there. A big result for them, a big 3 points, and they'll take that after grinding out really hard against Arsenal, getting the 2-1 loss. But then if they'd drawn that game against Sheffield United, that being a very, very underwhelming week for Sheffield United, for Nottingham Forest facing Sheffield United there. So they're a team also building. 2 teams probably not at their best form at the moment. Obviously, Tayo 1 year's killing it right now. The 8 goals in his last 6 Premier League appearances. Look at also Danilo. He's playing some very, very good football. The Brazilian there from the flank. Also, the signing of Montiel this week, the Argentine, obviously the winner there in the World Cup penalty shootout. He's there. I think Aurier will probably keep his spot this week, but do they go to a back 4? Does Montiel come in there? Does Aurier tuck in as a right-handed centre-half? A lot of things to be played around with, but I think Forest will come good. I'm expecting a big game this week from Morgan Gibbs-White. He always seems to turn up in big games and produces big performances, and with Mount looking injured and being out, I don't know what Man United do now in that midfield. Do they put McTominay in there to pair with Casemiro? Does Eriksen come back and try and refine that form he had from the first half of last season? It's all there to be seen. Both teams probably would take a result in this one. Manchester United desperately need a result though, and as such, I got them winning an ugly 2-1 game for me. We come to the final game of those midday Saturday fixtures. Everton hosting Wolves. It's already looking like a relegation 6-pointer. Both teams have really struggled. I think Everton, for me, have been arguably the most underwhelming team, the most disappointing team. Look back to last week against Villa. I don't expect them to win, but I expect the Sean Dyche team to really grind out a result or make it hard on Villa. But they got a corner in the first sort of minute or so, and from there it just got worse and worse and worse. And mistakes from your leaders, Ashley Young, Keane there at the back, Pickford giving away a penalty. These are all your leaders of the football club. Tarkowski, who's a Sean Dyche stalwart, he was making some mistakes out there as well. When you've got these leaders of a system like Sean Dyche is making mistakes, it can't work. Sean Dyche relies on you being almost perfect decision making and errors wise. You can't make mistakes because you're not going to get many chances to score the goals. And when you've got Dominic Calvert-Lewin now going out with a facial injury, it appears like a cheekbone injury now. Again, he's out again. The whole system changes when Dominic Calvert-Lewin's out. Moore-Pay up front has not looked like the answer so far this season. Very underwhelming. The fans are on his back for that. Right now, it just looks like players on a pitch that just don't quite suit each other and don't quite suit the Sean Dyche system. They're not resilient enough. They're not focused enough to grind out results, and it looks like another relegation scrap again for Everton. And to be honest, I really want to see them improve, but I just cannot see a way they improve. And in this game, obviously coming against Wolves, they were pretty disappointing against Brighton as well. But we know how good Brighton are, and we've seen signs. Wolves against Manchester United played very good in possession and on the counter-attack. They played some good counter-attacking football against Brighton as well when Brighton sort of switched off towards the end of the second half there. So they're looking at the better of the two sides. Wolves, obviously under Gary O'Neill, I'm so surprised how quickly he's turned this team around. They look like a very strong unit, but once again, just without an ability to put the ball in the back of the net at the moment. They need someone up front to put the ball in the back of the net. Where that's going to come from, I currently do not know. It looks like a lot's going to fall on Mateus Cunha, but he can't do it all. He can't come from midfield and drive that ball and take the shot himself. So a bit more supply from midfield would be handy. Obviously Nunes with the pathetic and stupid red card of the double yellow, getting him sent off in that game. So they'll lose him for this game. That will weaken their midfield, but I feel like Wolves' quality and the coaching for me as well will lead them over the line here. It's going to be an ugly game to watch. I think Lamina in the midfield there could make or break it for Wolves. If he has a good game, I expect Wolves to do well. I've got them winning 2-0 against Everton away from home. Now the late Saturday fixture, Brighton at home hosting West Ham United. Firstly touching on West Ham, what a game they played against Chelsea. They played the David Moyes system to a T. Defended quite deep when they had the chance. playing great balls over the top. The Mikel Antonio goal just sums it up for me. James Ward-Prowse picks up that ball in midfield with an interception. First time pass over the top. Mikel Antonio bodies off to Sassy, smacks it in the corner. A superb finish. And then you defend deep, and despite giving away the penalty, and obviously the Enzo Fernandez missed penalty, great save obviously by Areola, but they just didn't give much away to Chelsea. Chelsea had to make a lot for themselves. The Chukwuemeka finish was remarkable. Obviously the penalty was a bit of a mistake there, but outside of that, they were very, very strong in defence. I like the signing of Jaden Ward-Prowse. He looks like one of the best signings it's going to be this summer for any Premier League side. He fits that system so, so well, and if the Paqueta allegations all fall away, he looks like a great creator for them in front of maybe an Alvarez and a Ward-Prowse, or a Souček and a Ward-Prowse. The system suits this type of players they've brought in now. It looks more like a David Moyes type West Ham. I'm glad they made some signings, because without it we could have been seeing a struggling sort of season for West Ham, but they look pretty solid. A big result there against Chelsea. Obviously I think Chelsea's bogey team in previous years, but a good result for them. But on the other side of it, the top team in the Premier League right now, Brighton and Hove Albion, averaging 4 goals a game, carving teams apart. The March double from the Enciso, great crosses from that left and right hand sides. You've got Matoma running past 4 or 5 players to put the ball in the back of the net, and then Estupiñán getting forward and getting in the box for a tap in. Like, it just sums Brighton up. They are so good in possession. They lock teams in deep. They press so high up the pitch. They force teams so deep in their defensive line that you almost feel suffocated. The quality of these players. I look at the weekend. You don't start Dahoud and you put a new player in there in Billy Gilmore, and he just plays as good. You drop João Pedro and you put Evan Ferguson with Danny Welbeck up there, and they equally play as good. They've just made so much depth there. The De Zerbi system, the playing out from the back in possession. It is the most beautiful team to watch current at the moment. They're easy on the eye. They score goals. They look like the best team in the league so far. City and Arsenal haven't really got up to scratch yet, so they're looking like the best team in the league for a reason. And as such, they're top of the league. And coming to this game, I feel like it'll be a Matoma masterclass once again. And I've got Brighton winning the game 3-0, and I think Matoma double in this game. We now come to the late Saturday night kickoff. Sheffield United hosting Manchester City, and I'll be surprised if this game goes any other way than what I expected. Obviously, Sheffield United, a decent performance come the second half against Nottingham Forest. Unfortunate to give away the point, that late winner there from Wood, but the Bremer shot from outside the area was a awesome finish, whipping that ball with the right foot in that top right-hand corner there. They looked solid in possession come the second half, but if you're giving away a point like that in such a dramatic fashion, it's just sort of a symbol for the season to come. And we all know that they haven't had the intent to go and spend big. They look like, I guess, with the financial situation they were in last year, they're happy to be in the Premier League. They're happy to get that Premier League payment. But when you come up against the best team in the world in Manchester City, who are holding 4 or 5 trophies at the moment in their cabinet, it's going to be a very tough battle. The midfield is where I think City will just dominate them in this game. Obviously coming to City, a grinding out sort of performance, a 1-0 win versus Newcastle United. City haven't really got up to scratch it, I don't think. They haven't really gotten to second gear at all yet. We obviously know they start the season quite slow and build their way up, but at the start of the season, me and many others, I think, predicted Man City would win the league based on their defence. They'd win trophies based on their defence. The Gvardiol signing, keeping the likes of Walker at the club, and how strong that back line looked come the back end of last season. It looks like that's where the way they're going. Obviously, they have scored 4 goals in the 2 games they've played so far, but I feel like those wins have come on the back of great defence. They're able to nullify Newcastle's midfield. They boss that midfield battle. And despite De Bruyne going out, Phil Foden looked like De Bruyne 2.0 in there. We've been waiting so long to see Foden play as a number 10 for Manchester City, and we finally got it. And he looked remarkable in there, spraying past all around, getting Haaland so many chances, but Haaland couldn't put the ball in the back of the net. And is that probably the first time we've seen Haaland not look like a robot? He struggled in that game to put the ball in the back of the net, being rushed by the likes of Botman and Fabian Schär, who obviously a good, strong centre-back pairing, but really put him under pressure. And the first time I've really seen Haaland miss some gettable chances by his liking. But the goal came from Julian Alvarez. When it doesn't come from Haaland, when it doesn't come from De Bruyne, you got Julian Alvarez there as well, a World Cup winner, a superb finish there, right into the top left-hand corner. And Manchester City will always find a way. And in this game, they can finally start to flex their muscles. They can finally start to play a bit more expressive football against a really undermanned Sheffield United side. And I think it can only see it being one of those sort of games we see 2 to 3 times a year where Man City absolutely dominate a team. I think they're going to win 5-0 in this game versus Sheffield United. Midday on Sunday, we've got Burnley hosting Aston Villa. Burnley had the week off last week due to the renovation at Kenilworth Road, so They can do a bit of learning, a bit of improvement from that first game versus Manchester City, but they come up against a high-flying Aston Villa now. Obviously, struggled with that first game, the 5-1 loss to Newcastle United, but they responded so well against Everton last week, smashed them 4-0. That midfield looks so solid once again. And you've got so many different players. You have a threat at goal. Diaby looked remarkable without scoring. Leon Bailey got back on the score sheet and looked very solid with the ball at his feet. And you've got Ollie Watkins there. He's always a goal threat. And despite last year it all being relying on Watkins for goals, it looks like this year there's more options. Diaby's there. You got also Douglas Luiz getting in the goals there as well. And obviously Leon Bailey there from the left. So the goal's going to be there this season for Aston Villa. And despite so much injury pressure going on at the club, obviously Leon Bailey had a bit of a back injury. I think he should be good for this week. But obviously also Tyrone Mings the week before. Digne looked like he picked up a knock, but I think he'll be fine to go. But also Coutinho going down with a major injury. It just seems that they can't catch a break at the moment in terms of injuries. Zaniolo's obviously joined on loan. He'll be a great sign to implement in this team. He'll probably come off the bench, I assume, this week in that Coutinho role, but so much midfield depth. Yuri Tillemans coming off the bench just shows the quality in this team. They played some great attacking football last week. They forced Everton back throughout the whole game, did not put their foot off the accelerator. Emery was even tinkering with a 3-back system at times there as well, so they're coming prepared. They're looking like a team in form now after 1 week. It seems funny, everyone was worrying about them 1 week and they're better the next, but I have a lot of faith in Emery and Aston Villa this season. I feel like they'll be a team to watch out for, pushing into that top 5, top 4 there. They come to the Lancashire side. It's obviously a hard place to travel, but Burnley the week off's hard to continue that momentum when you have week on, week off. Amdouni looks like a very solid player, the Swiss forward there. But I think just the midfield is where they're going to lose this game. It's going to be hard for the likes of Josh Cullen and Xander Berg to deal with the likes of your Douglas Luiz's and your John McGinns of the world. And I think that's where the games will be won or lost. Burnley will obviously try and play in possession like they did against Manchester City, but I think the high pressing nature of Aston Villa at times, their quality in possession, I feel like they'll get the better and grind out a result here. They'll probably work Burnley down over time. I think they can win this game 2-0. We now come to the final game of the weekend, the best game of the weekend for me. It's Newcastle United hosting Liverpool on the Sunday evening fixture. Obviously, Newcastle coming off a disappointing performance, we can always say. I think I expected them to go on the front foot to play a bit more expansive football against Manchester City. They didn't quite do this at all. They were very passive. They played a lot of sideways and sort of safer passes, a lot of passive play. The midfield got totally overrun by the likes of Rodri and Foden in there, along with Bernardo Silva, and those wingers got the best of the fullbacks at times. But I think they'll bounce back. At home, it's a hard place to come. The fans get behind them. They almost come that 12th man. They boost them on. I expect the likes of Bruno Guimaraes, Tonali, Joe Linton to have a big lift this game, especially Bruno. I think Bruno had a very poor performance. He'll bounce back in this game. I hope to see Harvey Barnes maybe start in this one. Obviously, Gordon got dragged off quite early in the second half there for Harvey Barnes. He's like probably the best option coming off the bench so far. Clinical finishing when he gets in areas. Obviously missed that chance against City. It was probably a hard chance, but that first game against Villa came on and got on the score sheet instantly. Has a great connection, I think, there with Alexander Isak as well. Obviously, Isak will want a bit more service this game. If he gets that, I think he'll run away with it and score a few goals in this one. But coming up against the Liverpool side without McAllister, obviously he was straight-redded. So you lose him. Endo looks like he'll slide straight back in there into that number 6 role. Obviously, Dominic Szoboszlai, great, probably the best performance on the weekend outside of some of the Tottenham players in terms of midfielders last week. He dominated Bournemouth, spraying passes here, there and everywhere, interconnecting plays, linking up like Salah, Diaz. And that front they looked really strong. Like Salah probably not his best game, still got on the score sheet. Jota got on the score sheet. He was making some great interweaving runs, and Luis Diaz has been the man for almost forgotten about. Signed for some solid money, a lot of upside there. Gets that injury, and we didn't quite see the best of him last season, but he feels like a new signing now. He's come back in, he looks fit, and he's playing some really great football. 2 goals in as many games. He's been the star so far for Liverpool, and Dominic Szoboszlai came into great form last week, and those two connecting up was very good for Liverpool. But I think despite all that being said, they're going to lose that midfield battle once again. Like we saw against Chelsea, it's so hard when you don't really have an out-and-out central defensive midfielder. Endo can try and fill that role. He's not going to be as good as the likes of the Liverpool DMs of the past, the Fabinho, Hendersons, and you come up against probably one of the top midfielders in the Premier League with Joel Linton, Bruno Guimaraes and Tonali, which are robust, strong midfielders who can all carry the ball, who can all play defensively. It's going to be a long day for those Liverpool midfielders. I expect Newcastle to exploit Trent Alexander-Arnold, who seems to be what every team targets so far. The goal came from Trent Alexander-Arnold last week with his poor touch against Newcastle. He was at fault multiple times against Chelsea as well. So I think Newcastle will target him. I expect Harvey Barnes to go at him, even if it's Gordon as well. I think they'll target him most often. Newcastle at home, it's the hardest place to go in football at the moment in the Premier League, I think. And as such, I can see Newcastle winning this one 3-1. So there we go, guys. That wraps up my match week 3 predictions. Hoping to do better than last week. Hopefully get a few results bang on the money this week. Obviously, the Premier League, we're right into it now. The season's well and truly underway. I'm loving it right now. Let's try and watch as many games as possible. Obviously, the podcast show comes out on Monday. We'll be diving into all the big topics that the weekend has delivered us. But I'm really enjoying this new sort of segment we do each week, the predictions. Please let me know some of the predictions in the comments down below. Let me know how you've seen the Premier League going so far. Loving the season, how it started so far. Loving all the storylines that are developing. I can't wait to watch this weekend's football as well. Guys, if you enjoyed the video, please like it, subscribe to the channel, share the channel around with mates. More football content coming on this channel. And obviously, if you haven't seen, we've got our own basketball channel now, coming from the same Player Zone studios here. We've got the King of the Court. We're doing more basketball-based content over there as well. So if you enjoy basketball content, go follow that channel, go subscribe to that channel, go to check it out on Spotify as well. A lot more basketball content over there. So the football content will be staying in this channel for the time being. So hope you guys enjoyed the video. Have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you guys for another predictions or football video very, very soon.